welcome back or welcome to another video.
You're such a man. You got the whole world in your hands.
Hey girl, and if you're new, make sure that you comment down below, like, comment, and subscribe, and join the team because baby is getting lit over here. So as you read by the title, today we are doing a video all about my job as a nurse, because I get this question a lot. Everybody want to know what exactly is MDS. Like, I tell people what my job is and they be like, so what y'all do? And I don't think that people talk a lot about our role, maybe because we are so far, like, not so far, but we are behind the scenes as far as nursing compared to bedside nursing. This is more as behind the scenes. So I think a lot of people don't hear about us that much. I'm assuming because before I got into MDS, I had no idea what the fuck MDS was. When people say, oh, she works in MDS or anything, I'm like, what is MDS? All I know is they walk around or they be in their office and they walk through, they ask questions, but I never knew exactly what the role of MDS was. So in today's video, because this is highly requested, a lot of people has asked me to do this, I want to talk about exactly what it is that I do as an MDS coordinator. So if you are interested in this, then make sure you keep watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me how you like the video and how you like the new setup. Well, this is not new setup, sorry. How you like the background, okay? This is the background that we're choosing for today. If you see me look down, I'm looking at my monitor, I'm either looking at my phone because I did take notes. So without further ado, let me shut up with this intro and get into the video. The first thing that I'm gonna speak on, I just wanna give y'all a little background about my whole nursing career. I've been a nurse since 2018. I went to school in 2017 here in Florida. So everything that I'm gonna be talking about today is based off Florida. I know some things are universal, like, you know, all around the board, but some things may be specific to Florida. So just also keep that in mind. So I am a licensed practical nurse. Before I became a nurse, I was a CNA as well. I did that for about 3 years. And from a CNA to an LPN, I've always worked in SNFs, which is skilled nursing facilities. Rehab mixed with long-term patients. That's always where I worked my whole nursing career. I recently just got into MDS about a year ago. It's a little over a year. It's probably like 2 weeks over a year because I just seen something that I shared, you know, that marked my 1 year journey into MDS, and that's pretty much it. So I've only worked in skilled nursing facilities. I have some background with psych, not much, a tiny bit, but not much at all to speak on it. But I learned that that is not my specialty at all. So how I got into MDS, like I said, I've worked at skilled nursing facilities. One facility that I worked at, they were looking for an MDS coordinator. The one that was there previously, she went to be a unit manager, and they needed two because of how many beds that nursing facility had. They needed 2 MDS coordinators. So they were out looking for, of course, they would want a experienced MDS coordinator, and for some reason they could not find it. People weren't applying for it, and the people that were applying for it wasn't who they were looking for. One day I was leaving work, I was clocking out, and I seen where they, you know, posted the job on the bulletin board, and I went and asked my DON how could I apply for this job. Like, mind y'all, I had no idea what MDS was. Whenever I see the MDS coordinators, all I see is them coming back from meetings, walking back and forth, you know, coming on the floor asking questions and going back in their office. I had no idea what MDS was, but I was just like, I just want to try something new. So I went to my DON, and she told me how, I asked her, like, so what is the criteria for nursing, for the MDS position? She said there's no criteria that they're looking for right now at the moment, as long as you're a nurse. She said, are you interested? I told her, yeah. I'm like, I don't know anything about it, but yes, I'm interested. She said, okay, just make sure you go put your application in and let them know you're interested, write you a note and give it to HR. Boom, that was it. 2 weeks later, I hadn't heard from nobody. All I knew is that they were wanting somebody that was experienced, which is understandable. So I didn't think nothing else about it. One day they told me that nobody wasn't applying. Was I still interested? I told them yes, and then that's how I got into MDS. So now I'm pretty sure everybody want to know, what does MDS stand for? MDS stands for minimum data set, which is basically like a mandated assessment that talks about an adult's cognitive status, their health status, physical functioning, anything that has to do with the resident is in this assessment, and it's called a minimum data set. So that's exactly what MDS stands for, minimum data set. So I'm gonna get into what our job duties are. MDS workers work pretty much anywhere because we are needed everywhere. Everywhere that has residents, where a facility is taking care of residents, no matter what it is, if it's hospice, managed care, Medicare, Medicaid, any kind of resident, no resident specific. If you're taking care of a resident, this is where MDS is needed. You might not see them depending on what building you have. You might have some that's higher up in a building that works remotely, or in our cases in a SNF, or I'm not sure about the ALF, but in SNFs I know for a fact that we are in the building. So we are needed everywhere. So our job duties are, I'm gonna just briefly talk about it. I'm not gonna get deep into it because I am still learning day by day. I learn new stuff every day. Because it's that much stuff that needs to be that you can learn. It's so much stuff, it's like a whole different world. So what our duties are is, for one, we complete assessments, hence minimum data set. I told you what that is. We complete assessments on every resident in the building, no matter if they're Medicare, managed, hospice, private pay, no matter what. Everybody get an assessment. We complete assessments on every resident. There are plenty different assessments that we do. We have quarterly assessments, we have admission assessments, we have entry assessment, discharge assessments, and there's more, but those are, some that are very, that almost every resident gets. In these assessments, they talk about everything about the residents. They talk about their health. They talk about what medications they get, if they're in pain. We talk about their cognitive status, where did they come from before they entered our building, where they're leaving, going to, everything about the resident is in these assessments. Every resident in the building has to have these assessments. And it goes by certain months. Some of them are due every 3 months, some of them are due on admission, some of them are due on discharge. So this is pretty much what I do all day, is assessments. The next thing we do is we also input diagnoses for the residents. I don't know, I'm pretty sure some people have heard of ICD-10 codes, which is diagnoses. There are a lot of diagnoses, so there are a lot of ICD-10 codes. I'm gonna try to input one right here to show y'all an example of a ICD-10 code. There's no way you can remember all of these. Me putting them in a lot for the last year, there's some that are memorized, but listen, honey, there are millions, because there are millions of diagnoses. But we input these into the residence chart. We go through all their documents. So if they are a new resident, we go through the hospital documentations, find out what they were diagnosed with in the hospital, things that happened to them, health-wise, their past medical history, and we input all these into the residence chart. The next thing we do is care plans. I'm pretty sure a lot of nurses, if you don't went through nursing school, we all know what care plans is, and that is not everybody's favorite. A care plan is basically a plan of care that we have in place for the resident while they are in our facility. So in those care plans, we talk about the same thing that we talk about in the assessment. We talked about their cognitive status, physical status, any alterations they have, any strengths they have, anything that they are at risk for. We have these in the care plans, because the point of a care plan is to have a plan for these residents while they're in our care. So if they have an alteration in something, then we're gonna make a plan to either maintain that status or to help strengthen it. And that's basically what everything in the care plan is. If there are any behaviors that they have, we make sure we put them in the care plan so that we know if anything was to ever happen to this resident and they have a behavior, then anybody that's looking into this resident, if it's a case or if it's anything, and they go into their care plan and they see that it's documented that they have behaviors, then they would see it there. So this is how you find out everything about the resident. Care plans have to be accurate and updated every day. So that's another duty that I have while working at the facility that I'm at now. I update care plans every morning. Inside the care plans also, we have different type of medications that they're on, anything like that's very important. Like if they're on anticoagulants, that has to be added in there because that places them at a risk for bleeding. So that is something that's put in it. Also, any IV medications that they're on, of course, they are at risk for side effects and adverse effects. So you would put that in the care plan. They also wants to know like what type of line they have. They want to know what are they getting through this IV, if they're getting fluids, if they're getting antibiotics. All this has to be placed in there, and it has to be accurate. It has to be accurate at all times. So in the mornings when I come in, I print off any new orders from the last time I was there up until that day, and I go in and I either take out medications that they're not using anymore. Like if they're finished their IV antibiotics, I would take it out. And if they're not taking any psychotropic medications, then I would take that out, because that's another thing you would want to add in there, because they are at risk for side effects, adverse effects as well. So those are things that I put in there. My job every morning is to go and update it as new orders are put in, as new orders are discontinued or completed. Also, every resident, I think I spoke about this in one of my vlogs, every resident has a care plan meeting that we do. We either do it with the resident if they are alert and oriented, you know, if they could be educated, and if they can't, then we go to the next of kin. But we go over the care plan and we explain everything about the resident, everything that we have in place, our plan that we have for the resident. The whole interdisciplinary team comes together and we have this meeting, like I said, either with the resident or the next of kin. And the interdisciplinary team is social service, dietary, nursing, us of course, and activities is another member of the interdisciplinary team. And whatever is specific to that resident, we all talk together. We find out, is there anything we need to change, anything we need to do, and that's what a care plan meeting is. Every resident have it. We have them either every 3 months, every quarterly. We have them on admissions, and that's it. It's just a lot of, that's pretty much the sum up a care plan meeting. So, and also another duty that I have, in these assessments, they want to know about the resident's pain. Have they had any pain in the last 5 days? So that's what we call a pain assessment, a pain interview. So we have to go to these residents and interview them about their pain. Those specific questions that's in assessment, we go and we ask them, and we have to do that. Majority of the time it's daily. It depends on when the assessment is due. So if the assessment is due on November 11th, I will go out and see every resident that has an assessment due on that date, and I will do a pain assessment. No matter if I'm completing an assessment that day or not, I go out and I do pain assessments. When I speak on assessments, these assessments is how, basically how we get reimbursed from different insurance companies. So if they are Medicaid or if they are Medicare, all of these things has to be submitted to them, so they'll know how to reimburse us from the care that we are giving to their client. So that's why everything has to be accurate. We also look at nursing notes, CNA documentation, everything, because me as a nurse too, sometimes we be charting too fast and don't document correctly. That's why it's always important to document correctly, not only for us in these assessments, but for yourself. Document, document, document. Listen, document everything you do, no matter if you think it's something silly. If you took the resident to the bathroom, document it. Say how the resident transferred, document it, because it's going to be important, just period. But these things is how the facility get paid. So that's one of our roles as well. I forgot to mention that because it's the most important thing. We are how the facility get paid. We are how the facility get reimbursed for what we are doing for these insurance companies' clients, which is our residents. So all these assessments has to be completed. It has to be sent in and mandated, because that's how we get paid. If things are not accurate or we miss something on it, then that could be a decline in payment for each resident. So that's one thing I have to keep in mind. Let me tell you, some nursing notes, some CNA notes be like, how this patient has a bilateral knee amputation, but y'all got on here that he transfers and walks with no assist. independently. How? How? So next thing I'm gonna talk about is who can be an MDS coordinator. A LPN can be an MDS coordinator, a RN can be an MDS coordinator. It doesn't really matter. You have to have a nursing license for sure, but they favor more RNs because it's a lot more that an RN can do that an LPN cannot do. For instance, LPNs can't sign off on assessments. So when all the assessments is complete, we complete every section on assessment, it has to be signed off. That means that an RN overlooked it, reviewed it, make sure everything was accurate before we send it in. So that's something that an LPN cannot do. So you always have to have an RN oversee your work and sign for you, which is no problem. It's no problem at all. But that is reason why they favor RNs, and because they have a little bit more knowledge than we do. They have a little bit more schooling than we do. So it's probably a lot more things that they know than we do. But all you have to do is have a nursing license. You can get trained. They have training and different certifications that you can get for MDS coordinator. But I did not take any certifications. Everything that I have learned has been by experience. A lot of jobs would require experience because it's so much that you have to learn as an MDS coordinator. It's a totally different world from bedside nursing. So if you only have experience at bedside nursing, you will be lost becoming an MDS coordinator. You get the experience, and then once you get the experience, you can pretty much work anywhere that will let you work as an LPN. I know some places probably only want RNs or prefer an RN, but as long as you can get your experience, you can work as an MDS coordinator. So that's how you can get into it. Like I said, any nurse can do it. Just find your experience, and that's how I got in, because I found my experience at a previous facility. Right now, I do not work where I got my MDS experience from. I now work somewhere else. A place that I've worked my whole entire nursing career. I have always done 2 jobs. So right now, I only do 1 job, and I do MDS at the job that I was at my whole nursing career. We can talk about the salary of an MDS coordinator. I'm not gonna go and specifically say how much I make, but what I can tell you, I've had like a $7, almost $8 pay increase from a bedside nurse to MDS coordinator. So that is what I'm gonna say. It just basically, it goes off your experience, and it goes off of your LPN or RN, of course, and what lead or what role you play in MDS coordinator. So I am technically like an assistant. So I work at 2 different buildings. It's the same sister facility. I mean, it's the same company, just 2 sister facilities. I split between 2 buildings. So the beginning of the week, I'm at one job. The end of the week, I'm at another. But they are the same company. One of them that I work with, I work under an RN. The other building that I work at, I work under a more experienced MDS coordinator, LPN. So my role is technically like an assistant because they do majority of everything. I just do they do majority of everything. I mainly complete assessments, and I do update care plans. Like I said, I do my pain interviews, and they do more of the care plan meetings, all the other type of meetings as well. Whenever I attend a meeting, it's because either one of those are out. So technically, I'm like an assistant, kind of. I guess you can say, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if it does, but yes. So let's just say that. I know this, and I'm not salary. I get paid hourly. I'm not a fan of salary. My first MDS job, I was getting paid salary. It has its pros and its cons. I'm not a big fan of salary. I'm getting paid hourly. Let's speak on salary for an LPN MDS coordinator. I'm not gonna go into RN salary because that's not really my forte, but as an LPN, I know you can make between 50 and 90K salary for an MDS coordinator. Our job is very important. It's a management type of role, so you have to keep that in mind too, as far as the big pay increase. So I'm gonna speak on our attire, what we have to wear at work. It's an office job, so you will wear business casual type of clothing, or you can wear scrubs. At my facilities. I typically wear scrubs only because it's comfortable, very comfortable. And if I need to get out on the floor and it's an emergency or anything like that, I'm more comfortable in my scrubs. So that is what I wear. But like my partner, sometimes both of them will wear business casual and they'll swap between scrubs. I'm a scrub type of girl. Like, I love scrubs. They are so comfortable. So that's the attire that we wear. I'm gonna speak on the pros of it. The pros of being an MDS coordinator versus a bedside nursing. Don't get me wrong, I love bedside nursing. So this is why you may see me pick up some shifts as a bedside nurse, because I do enjoy it versus, you know, MDS. I love both. So I like to sometimes go back to bedside nursing. But the pros of it is the schedule. I love my schedule. My schedule is Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30, 9:30 to 5:30, just depends. No weekends, no holidays. I am not required to work on the floor as a bedside nurse. I'm not required at all. Unless, of course, if they have no nurses and we are there, then of course we would fill in, because come on, why wouldn't you? But I'm not required. That is not in my normal schedule, no. Anytime you see me as a bedside nurse, it's because I picked up an extra shift and I'm doing overtime. That is it. I'm trying to think of a con. There's not really a con to this job. What I can say is it could be stressful at times, only because it's a lot that you have to learn. If you've never dealt with anything insurance-wise or anything like this, then it is hard trying to memorize everything, because it's, like I said, I can't stress this enough, it's a total different world coming from bedside nursing. So sometimes it can be a little bit stressful because you may forget some things, or you may forget to input something in, because this job is very important to the nursing field. Everything you document has to be accurate, because once again, this is how the building gets paid. And we have these insurance companies, clients in our building, they want updates on their residents. They want to know how they're doing. So it has to be accurate. It has to be like prompt. It has to be 100. The whole thing has to be 100. So sometimes it can be a little bit stressful because of the pressure that's put on you. Yes, very much so. One thing I can say is we see everything. So since we are completing these assessments, we have to dig in these residents' charts. We have to look at medications that they're on. We have to look at nursing chart and anything. So we are the first to find any error in a resident's chart as far as medications, as far as anything. We are typically the first person to find it. So one thing I can say is, coming from bedside nurse to this job, I always want to be the one to fix it. So if I see something wrong, I always want to be the one to fix it. Instead of going to the actual, you know, department that needs to fix it, I feel like, why can't I fix it? Which can put you back, because there's a lot that you have to do instead of fixing other people's work. So that's one thing I can say. Just like when you come from a CNA to an LPN, you feel like you gotta always be in CNA mode, which is a good thing, but instead of delegating, that's the word, instead of delegating how you're supposed to, you always think like, let me do it. And that will push you so far behind if you're doing things that you have another member there for, if that makes sense. But there's not really any cons. Like, I enjoy my job. I love my job. I don't know if I'll go back to bedside nursing anytime soon. I can't say. But right now, I am enjoying my job. So I'm just gonna briefly go over my daily schedule. It's nothing really exciting, but when I go to work in the mornings, I typically get there from 8:30 to 9:30, just depends. I go in, the first thing I do is I print off my orders. Like I said, my new orders, my discontinued orders, I print off a report sheet and I go and I update the care plans. After I complete those, then I go to my assessments. Any assessments that is due for that day, that is past due or anything like that, I start completing those. These assessments all have dates when they need to be completed. If they're not done by that date, then of course they are late, which is not a good thing. But so it happens because MDS is a very let's say it's a lot that you're doing in MDS. So you have a lot of different tasks that you have to do daily, so it's easy to kind of fall behind, but that is not ideal. That's not what we will want. So I finished my assessments or completing the assessments that's due for that day that I have on my schedule. And that's pretty much it. Towards the end of the day, once I'm done doing the amount of assessments that I can and that's due for that day, then I go out and do my pain assessments for that day. I already spoke on that. So that's pretty much what my schedule is, and just for the MDS portion. And if I pick up on the floor, then after I'm done with that, then I go and I work an evening shift till 11. But that's typically my schedule with MDS. So yes, you guys, that is it for now. Basically, this is what an MDS coordinator do in a nutshell. There's so much more that I could have elaborated on, but honey, I will have y'all here all day. And I love my job. I think it just depends, you know. If you're drained out from bedside nursing, this is a good alternative that you can do because it's still nursing. So I enjoy my job, and that's pretty much it. If y'all want to get into MDS coordinator, I suggest it if you like computer work, if you like to sit at the office, if you can sit still and sit at the office for the full 8 hours. Of course, you get out and you go see the patients and you find out new information on these residents that you need to know as far as assessments and care plans, but for the most time, you're documenting at a computer. So if that's something that you think you're interested in, then I think, you know, it's a different type of field. Just go out and try it. So yeah, like I said, I love my job. But you guys, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, girl. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All three. Like, comment, and subscribe. Period. I look cute, don't I? With my little shirt on, my little fashion over shirt. So yes, y'all, like I said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave me comments down below. Anything extra you want to know, any other type of videos you would like for me to film. And I'm gonna talk to y'all in the next video. Bye, girl.
You're such a man.